Hello, it's Dave again. I have another game. This will be another Caro Kann Panov variation. This game was played at the San Sebastian Open between R. Kurlich, rated at 2240, and P. Lufante at 2489. I found this game as I was doing some research for one of my correspondence games, and I think you'll find it very informative and enjoyable. So let's get started here. E4, C6, D4, D5, E takes, C takes, and C4. This is a Panov variation of the Caro Kann defense, and the game will be centered generally around the D5 pawn. Knight to F6, knight to C3, E6, and C5. White has decided, instead of playing against the D5 pawn, to expand on the queen side and use his advantage of control of the dark squares and his 3-2 pawn advantage on the queen side, hopefully to gain a passed pawn. Black plays knight to C6, knight to F3, and now the theme of our game is going to be how Black gains the initiative, keeps it, and takes it on to victory. So Black plays knight to E4 with the idea to indirectly attack the D4 pawn, the base of White's pawn chain. White plays queen to C2. If White had decided to play, let's say, knight takes E4, the game could have continued D takes E, knight to G5, queen takes D, winning the D pawn, which is the base of White's pawn chain here on the queen side, bishop to E3, and queen to B4. Black's won at least one pawn and most probably win more. Plus, he's destroyed White's advantage on the queen side by taking away the D4 pawn and should go on to win this game. Of course, there's plenty of game left to be played. But back to after White has played queen to C2, Black plays knight takes C3, queen takes C3, and now A5, with the idea of preventing White from pushing B2 to B4. Of course, White plays A3, preparing such a pawn push, and now Black plays bishop to E7, rook to B1. Again, White wants to use that his pawn advantage on the queen side, and he has moved his rook behind his B pawn. Black castles. White develops his bishop to D3, and now Black plays bishop to F6. This is the ideal square for Black's bishop. It aims at the D4 square, the base of White's pawn structure. It can be assisted in attacking with the C6 knight, and possibly another piece could be brought up and add pressure to the D4 pawn. White will have to, because of this pressure, always keep an eye on his D4 pawn. White castles, and now A4. Bishop to C2, B6, attacking the head of White's pawn chain here at C5. White plays B4, and Black takes en passant, A takes B3, retakes with the rook, B takes C5, and now queen takes C5. As you can see, what White has now is two isolated pawns, A pawn and his D pawn. These will both be targets for Black, which should make his game a lot more comfortable. He has a much better pawn structure than White does. Bishop to A6, and now bishop to D3. I'm going to look at two variations here. The first will be for White if he plays bishop takes H7, king takes H7, and queen takes C6, bishop to C4, rook to B1, and rook to C8. This favors, even though White has won a pawn, this does, according to Ripken and Fritz, favors Black. The other variation will be after bishop to A6. White could play queen takes c6, bishop takes f1, queen to c3, rook to c8, queen to b2, and now queen to c7, adding pressure against the bishop at c2 or even the other bishop at c1. Instead of queen to c3, retreating the queen, white could have played king takes f1, rook to c8, queen to a6, and rook to c2, and black is up to exchange a rook for a knight with a very nice game. Again, white has two isolated pawns, which will be good targets for black to attack. Let's get back to our game, the root part of our game. After bishop to a6, white decided to play bishop to d3. The game continued, knight to a5, rook to b5, bishop takes b5, bishop takes b5, and now knight to b3, forking the queen and rook. White drops the queen back to c3, knight takes c1, and the dark squared bishop would be another defender for the d4 square. So it is to the advantage of black to exchange his knight for that bishop. Plus it's an open position, and bishops usually are better pieces in an open position. Rook takes c1, rook to c8, the queen drops out of the way, queen to b2, and black continues making exchanges. Rook takes c1, queen takes c1, and now queen to b6. And what black has done, he's got two pieces attacking the d4 square, plus he's attacking the bishop at b5. White responds with queen to b2, defending both the bishop and the pawn. Black adds pressure against the bishop, plays a4, defending, and now queen to a5. And now white makes a bad blunder and plays queen to c2, and black plays rook takes b5, and rook cannot be recaptured because of the back rank mate threat after a takes b, queen takes, and queen takes again. So after the queen takes c2 and rook takes b5, white resigned. Of course, white could have played queen to c8, but black could very easily defend with queen to d8 and game is over. Or he could have used the bishop to c8. Anyway, that's the game. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've seen how black was very aggressive in the game. He continued to attack white's pawn structure on the queen side, undermined it, had complete control of the game, and I think he demonstrated a good way to play against the Panov variation of the Caro Kann defense as black. So take care, and I hope you enjoyed. Until next time.